Yes, welcome everybody. I hope we are hearing me. I hope you can hear me very well. We are supposed to be having a three-part training. The first is going to be Python programming, and we are going to be starting from beginner's level up to designing projects. It's going to be a real coding section, very interactive. We'll start it up and you can ask questions. We're going to be having morning and evening sections. Morning section will be purely learning. Then evening section is going to be the time that I will take your questions and unblock in case if you have any issues. Please, if you have any problem hearing, getting to hear me, please, you can in the chat section drop a chat so that I will be able to see and know what to do about it. So I'm going to share my screen so that we can move together. So we're going to start up with introduction using PowerPoint, go over some slides. After the slide, then we'll start the actual programming. We'll start coding with VS Code. So I'm going to take us through the whole process step by step so that everybody can follow well. Drop some charts so that I will see what's happening. So I'm currently sharing my screen. I don't know whether we are seeing my screen. Please, if you're seeing my screen, let me know. Are we seeing the PowerPoint now?
Yes, sir.
Is it what is shown?
Yes, sir.
Good. So we're going to start up immediately. We don't have time to waste. It's going to be a real, I want it to be very eventful. So we are looking at the beginner's guide to Python programming. And I'm going to be anchoring it. Augustine Emeka from Tclassified.com. Everything that we're going to be giving you is already in our website at www.jamboeknekouni.com. You can always consult that. And you can always call my number in case if you need me to talk with you later. So we are going to be looking at Python programming, a beginner's guide to Python programming. Like I said before, every morning we are going to be having real coding from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's going to be week by week. This week we are going to be looking at Python. Next week we'll look at WordPress, how to design website and do search engine optimization, how you can actually start making money with your work. That's what we're going to be doing by next week. In the upper week, we're going to be learning mobile application development using Flutter. So please, I want you to pay attention to this series. At the end of the 1 month, we are going to be employing somebody from the class, and we are going to be having a basic salary of 100,000 Naira. So if you follow the class up very well, after the class, I'm going to conduct an interview. And the interview is basically going to be on the stacks that I'll be teaching, the Python, the Flutter, WordPress, and some HTML and CSS. So if you're able to scale through, then you'll be able to get this very job. So let's look at the course outline. What are we going to be doing? We're going to be looking at introduction to Python, variables and data types. If you have notes, you can be taking notes. You can also record these, please, so that you can always take a look at these when you're working on your own. Then we're going to look at conditional statements, the if, else, elif. Then we'll move down to loops. Then we're going to be taking a little bit at data structures. Basically, the core data structures in Python, like the tuple, the list, and all the rest of them. We're not going to be going far in data structures. Then we're going to be looking at file I/O, looking at importing models, And we're going to be looking at object-oriented programming. Then finally, we're going to be looking at Tclassified graphical user interface. And the project we're going to be doing is that we're going to be building an inventory connected to a database, an application that you can sell to small shops and supermarkets around you. By the end of this project, you should be able to design this inventory, take it to a shop and let them buy so that they can automate what they are doing there. If they are used to writing their daily sales in a paper, once at the end of this training, they should be able to write their use a Tclassified GUI desktop application to do their recording. Now, as a way of introduction, who is a programmer? You've registered to become a programmer. So what do programmers do? Programmers actually create solutions towards problems by creating software. That's what they do. So when you look at your environment and you see any problem, you try to create a solution for that problem. And when you do that, you make a whole lot of money. Let's take an example. Facebook looked at the world and found out that when people finish secondary school or finish their engagement, they find it difficult to get together. So he created Facebook to help connect. So he's actually solving a problem of connection. And you know that Facebook is into money actually. Then look at Google. Google found out that people are always wanting to search for something. How do they go about searching for it? So they created a search engine. And now Google is one of the biggest companies in the world. Now your school looked at the school and found out that managing the students could be a problem. They set up portal. So the portal that you have in your school helps manage the students, get their school fees payments and everything. Now, how do programmers solve this word problem? What do they do to solve this problem? They do it by creating websites. So at the end of this class, you'll be able to create websites. You'll be able to create mobile applications. You'll be able to do desktop applications. You'll be able to create portals like your school portal. You'll be able to do payment gateways. You'll be able to create embedded applications for our machine. So have this in mind. Those are the things you should be able to create. When I'm done teaching you Python, you should be able to do all these. Now, what is going to make you to be able to do all these, creating website, mobile app, and the rest? You have to do this if you learn programming languages. And there are several of those programming languages. There is Java, there is PHP, there is Python, there is C, there is C++, there is C#, Dart, Rust. Now, the programming language that you're going to choose will depend on where you want to specialize. Like if you want to specialize in data science and artificial intelligence, the go-to language there is Python. If you want to specialize in embedded programs, you go to C and C++. Java is also good. PHP for content management system like WordPress that I'm going to be teaching you is also good. So you pick out the one you will do. But if you're registered in Tclassified.com as a programming student, we'll normally teach you Python and JavaScript in order to broaden your horizon so that you can do very well in web application as well as do very well in desktop application and data science and artificial intelligence. And that's why if you're registered here, and you can also register, what I'm doing now is open. But if you want to register with us to learn software engineering, you can always do that. We focus for our students on JavaScript and build games, do data science, and all the rest of them. So what do you need for you to start coding? If you want to start coding, what do you need for you to start coding? You will need an editor. Editor could be Notepad or VS Code. In this class, we are going to be basically using VS Code, Visual Studio Code, because when you get a job in a very big company, you're going to be using Visual Studio Code. So we're going to be training you Visual Studio Code. Then you also need a browser like Chrome so that you can test out the work that you've done. There are other browsers like Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer. You can get any of them and use them. Now, what are the prerequisites? Please put your earpiece. Put earpiece. Somebody that I'm getting the echo from. What are the prerequisites for you to get to this? If you want to learn Python, you need to have done some work on HTML and CSS. HTML is going to help you build out the structure of your website. CSS is going to help the website to look better. And if you check the description part of this video that I'm going to be uploading later on, we are currently live on Facebook, but later it will be on YouTube. You're going to see the link to our YouTube channel where we've treated all these. I was a mentor for Andela to teach full stack development. So I have a complete lecture on HTML, CSS, Node.js, React, how to build REST API. So check out. Always call me. Yeah, please. I don't know who is tampering with this thing. I don't know why I was unmuted. If you can still hear me, we have videos for that for CSS and HTML on our website, on our YouTube channel. And at the end of this class, we are gonna be employing a junior developer with a salary structure of 100,000. And I'm going to interview you before you are employed, and I'll be interviewing you on Python, WordPress, Flutter, and that's going to be from the current training that I'm doing. So let's get started. So we're going to be starting with introduction to Python. Introduction to Python. I hope everybody is still seeing me and hearing me. Is somebody on earpiece hearing me? Are you hearing me from your earpiece? Thank you. So actually, I have some group of software devs that are trainees here with me presently. So I'm going to be confirming to know whether everybody is hearing me by communicating with them. So Python was actually invented in the year 1991 by Gilder von Rossum, a the man from Netherlands. Python is a high-level programming language whose syntaxes are very, very close to that of human. And that is why Python is very, very easy. And that's why we are learning Python. Python is very, very easy. It's the go-to language that you can start with. So now let's look at this. Python is a multipurpose high-level interpreted language. Python emphasizes on simplicity and readability. If you want to print a simple code that can say hello world in Java, you need to write like 6 lines of code. Static void main, blah, 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 system.out.print is very implied. So somebody that is not good in coding might not understand what you're doing. But if you want to print out hello world in Python, you simply say print hello world. So easy. And that's why many people want to do Python. Python is the best language for you to start learning with. And that's why we are starting up with Python. So Python emphasizes on simplicity and readability. The code has to be simple so that everybody can read and understand it. Python has extensive libraries that are good for doing image manipulation, data science, and the rest of them. And that is why Python is the go-to language for data science and artificial intelligence. So we're going to be finding this out very soon. Now, Python is the go-to language for artificial intelligence. If you want to specialize in artificial intelligence, data science, robotics, machine learning, deep learning, Python is the language for you to use. Now, there are also some notable websites that are built on Python, like using the libraries like Django and Flask. Django and Flask are the two most famous libraries for building web applications in Python. So websites like Reddit and Instagram are built on this. Please, I hope you are still getting and hearing me. Now, let's look at installing Python. How do you install Python if you want to start coding Python? After this slide, we are going into coding Python. So how can you install Python in order for you to code in Python? Simply go to python.org and navigate to downloads. I'm going to demonstrate this. Then download the latest version of Python. If you're using Mac or Windows, then once you've downloaded, then you have to install. Please make sure that as you are installing, that you click the add to path. Very, very important. Add to path. Very, very important. Click add to path so that when you start coding, your interpreter will be able to see where your installation was done in. So once you are done installing, you can now start using that. So for you to actually write the codes, you need a Visual a code editor, and in this class we are going to be using Visual Studio Code. Simply go to visualstudio.com and navigate to downloads. Download the version of Visual Studio Code that is suitable for your device. If you're using a 32-bit, download for 32-bit. If you're using 64-bit, do that. You can now run the Visual Studio Code that you downloaded to install. So once you're done installing, you can now also install some extensions that will help your code to be done well. So we are going to practice all this. I'm going to drop this whole slide in the description part of this video so that you can have it as something that will help you move forward in learning Python. So now that we are done, we're going to go straight into variables. And with this, I don't think I'll be going on with slides anymore. We're going to start coding immediately. What are variables? Variables are actually placeholders for values that are assigned to them. Variables are of different types. We talk about strings, integers, booleans, floats, lists, tuples, dictionary. So that is where we're going to be starting now. So I'm going to quickly close down this slide. I still have plenty of slides that I can show you for strings and many other things, but I'm going to drop it because I want this class to be a practical class. We are going to be coding all through. We don't want to talk too much or do too much of slide. So quickly, class, I want everybody to open his or her Visual Studio Code. If you installed Visual Studio Code, please open your Visual Studio Code. So we're going to start immediately. I want everybody to follow up as I'm doing it so that you follow up and do it very well. So please, everybody should follow up. So if you're done opening your Visual Studio Code, let me know. So this is my Visual Studio Code, but I'm quickly gonna create a new folder. So I'm gonna click on File. If your Visual Studio Code is open, please click on File. Everybody follow up and do this. All of you, follow up and do this. So when you click on File, click on Open Folder. Click on File, click on Open Folder. We're gonna start coding immediately. Then go to your desktop. We want to create our folder here in the desktop. Everything we are doing is pure practical from scratch. So I'm going to right click inside the desktop and I'm going to say new because I want to create a new folder that I'm going to be working with. And I'm going to call this folder Python tutorial written together all in small case. So do that. Please, people wearing earpiece, are you still hearing me from your earpiece? Oh, okay. Yeah, so once you're done that, just click on that folder that you just created and click on select folder so that this folder will be opened on your Visual Studio Code. And like I told you, we're going to be coding from scratch up onto development, creating projects. We want to start building projects, building game applications in Python, building inventory, which is our end project. So please click on this. You can see this welcome. Please click to close it down. So this is your Python tutorial opened up. So we're going to create the first Python file by clicking here. Once you hover over the Python tutorial folder that you created, you're going to see this place for new file. This is new folder, but we're going to create a new file. So I click here and I'm going to name this folder, this file, variable.py. So that is my first file. And you can see I have an editor where I can write my code. Now, for you to write for you to run a Python code, you need to have the terminal. To bring up the terminal, please just press Control backtick on your system. To Control backtick, you can see this is my terminal. Or you can also come here and click on terminal. There is also terminal here. But you can see Control backtick because we want to run our first Python code. So I'm going to write the first Python code and we're going to run it and see how it feels. So the first thing we're going to be running in Python is that we are going to be saying, we're going to be printing hello world. So to do that, I'm going to simply say print, then I'm going to put in brackets and in quotes, I'm going to say hello world. So that's the first thing we are doing. You can see to print out something in Python is so easy. Just type print hello world. It's as easy as that. Now to run this code that you've just written, you come down to the terminal and simply say Python. You must write Python first, then give space. Now write the name of the file and you can see that it's variable. The name is variable. You say variable.py. Then you press the enter key. That is how you can run your Python code. So Python variable.py. So please do that and let me know what happened on your own. Okay, let me save this. Make sure you save after typing. You have to save before you now run. So run by saying Python variable.py. So you can see I can now have hello world. So that is the first code that you've written as a programmer with Python. We're going to be writing more and more of these codes. That is the first thing we are doing here. Are you hearing me from your earpiece? So we're going to take questions in the evening session. If you have any problem, so you can ask me in the evening section. But now we are going to be basically typing. So somebody said he just did what I did, print hello world, and he did not see hello world down here. So this is where you see what you've done, hello world, once you run here. So I'm going to ask the person question. So in case if you're not hearing the question, if you can't hear the question and you're online, the person is one of my trainees here in Tclassified. So Fortune, what was the issue? Yeah, that means you've not saved. Just do Control S. Click on the editor and do Control S, then rerun again by saying Python variable.py. I actually did mine didn't show also until I saved. Please put on your. Yeah. Is it working now? So once you do, your own is working. Is your own working? Okay. Is your own also working? Good. You can hear me from here. You can hear me from here. I want to hear me from here so that I can confirm. Is it earpiece that you're getting me from? So if everybody have done this, let's get down the laydown. Please make sure you unmute yourself. I want to be the only person that my voice can be heard. So once you're done, let's continue. Can we continue now? Good. So first thing we are going to be learning, we're going to be looking at variables, and we say that variables are placeholders for value. Is that clear? But before we start that, I want you to know that whenever you see this simply stands for too much echo from my side. I wouldn't know that this echo. So I'm going to write down a variable. So variable or variables are placeholders for value. So why I included hash is because this is a comment. So if you rerun this code, this is not going to run, because what Python does is that whenever you run code, it moves line from line. But whenever it sees something that has this hash prefix, it doesn't interpret it. So let me rerun this code. So you can see you are still seeing only hello world. This is not showing because this is simply a comment. So there are other ways of writing comments by using this triple single quotes. So everything inside here is also a comment. So I can simply tell you that variables names are case sensitive. Very important. So variable names are case sensitive. That means if you have something like age, it is not the same as capital letter H. So take note of that. Also take note that variables can start with letters and underscore. So you can start variable names with letters and underscore. You don't start them with numbers. Or they can actually contain numbers, or they don't start with numbers. Yeah, so let's give an example of these variables that we're talking about. So let's say name is a variable name, and the value is going to be having is Augustine, and that is my name. So this is an example of a variable, but make sure that if it is a string, it has to be in single quote. Now let's have another type of variable, say age equal to 35, and that is my age. So this is a number. Let's have another variable type and call it weight. Equal to 95.5. That is not actually my weight. Because I want to explain the variable type that you can have. Now, let me also have another one. Here, I'm asking a question. Is Augustine here? And I'm going to say it's true because Augustine is actually here teaching you. So let me have another variable type. Have underscore colors. What are my favorite colors? I'm going to put it in a list. I'm going to have my best colors are actually white. I'm giving you information about me. I also like black. Then I also very much like gray. So make sure you put in single or double quote, any of them is okay for string. So why am I writing all these variables? Because they have different types. Any collection of iterables like this is known as string. This is a string data type. This age, because they are numbers, it's a number data type, or specifically you can call it int. Whereas the weight is also a number data type, but specifically it is float. So float is any number that has decimal. You can see it has decimal. Now, when the value is true or false, we'll call these boolean. If you have a collection of strings or any data type, we'll call these lists. So the value of the variable determines the type. If you have a string collection of letters like this, know that the data type of this variable is string. If you have a number, a whole number without a decimal, the data type is int. If you have a number with a decimal, it is float. If it's either true or false, the value of the variable is true or false, boolean. Or if you have a collection of strings or numbers or any data type, we call it list. Do we understand what data type is now? It's clear, okay? So let's move on to other data types. We also have, let's say details. We want to give details of Augustine. Dictionary. So I'm going to be having things like name is a key value pair, say Augustine. Then I have age, say 35. Then weight. So you can actually bring in a whole lot of things here. So my weight is 95.5. My weight is not actually 95.5, but I just wrote 95.5. So don't take that as my weight. Please make sure you include this in single quotes, both the key and the values. So this is what we call dictionary. And finally, we have tuple. So for tuple, I'm going to just say fruits. So for fruits, I'm going to have orange. What other do we have? I think watermelon, if that is the spelling. Please always put the quote. Yes. So please, I want you to understand the difference in the collection of strings that we have here. This one for list is a block bracket. For dictionary is a curly bracket, whereas for tuple is the normal bracket. So we're going to be going into details in all these data types. All of them, we're going to be going into details of them. So let's experiment on this. Let's say print. Whenever you want to get something output on your terminal, you have to make sure that you say print before you say that. So I'm going to do print, and I'm going to print age. So I'm going to go to my terminal and run my Python variable.py. Please make sure that you save after writing. Don't save. When you run, you might not get what you want. You can now see that I have hello world at 35 because I'm printing out age. Even if you write plenty code, but you did not put print, when you run the code, you will not see it. But once you put print, you will see it. So that's why we are having hello world at 35, because you've written all this code, or you've told the interpreter to just print hello world and age for us. So please, I'm going to work on the echo. So once I stop now, I'll work on the echo so that your hearing will be very well. Then we can restart back. So take note of what we've done so far. So like we said before, after this training, we are going to be employing a junior developer. Basic salary 100,000. I will conduct the interview. If you're good in Python, Flutter, a website design using WordPress, HTML and CSS, search engine optimization, then you're going to be employed. So get ready, make sure you follow up. This first week we are on Python. Next week we are on website, WordPress, HTML and so. Then upper week we are on Flutter. Once we are done, you can apply, then you get interviewed. So what we basically looked at is what variables are. So what we have on the right hand side is the variable names. So mention the variable names that we have. We have name, age, value, is year, 5 color, and so on. What are the values of these variables? We have Augustine for name, 35 for age, 95.5 for weight. So these values actually determine what the variable type are. If it's just a collection of letters, the data type is string. If it is a whole number, the data type is integer, number. If it is a floating or decimal point number, it is float. If the value is yes or no, or true or false, boolean. If it is collection of values in block brackets, then it is list. But if it's a collection of key value pairs, say name, Augustine, age, 35 is dictionary. And if it is collection of values in normal brackets, it is tuple. We're going to find out whether a tuple is mutable or changeable or not when we go deeper into tuples. So in the evening, when we resume, we are going to be looking at string and string operations. I'll be able to take your questions then. I hope your own is running. So if you have any problem in installing your VS Code and Python, I will take care of all those problems in the evening. Then if you also want to get Bash, you can see in my terminal, Bash is my terminal. I'll also show you how to do that in the evening class. So I'm going to allow the class to ask questions now so that I know whether the class is actually interactive. So if you want to talk, please unmute your mic and talk. And if there's any problem you're witnessing in this current class, let me get to know about it so that in the next class, we will not have that issue again. So who wants to talk? Who wants to ask questions? Please, you can ask questions now if you want to ask questions. Let's ask questions before we move on. Can everybody get hello world and 35 or the age? Is everybody getting it? You're not getting what of your, can you see hello world? What of you is hello world running in your own? But the age is not running. Okay. Please check where you wrote your age equal to 35. Make sure that it's on the same line. Indentation matters a lot in Python, so make sure you wrote it very well. Okay, you made a mistake, huh? So correct it and run it. Let's see. Yeah, any other question? Any other questions? Yeah. So what's the time? Somebody should check the time. Okay, this is 10:48. We still have 15 minutes to go. No. So maybe I should, let me introduce our strings while we wait. So please, to code string, please get back to the folder. You can see Python tutorial. You can see it is written there, Python tutorial. On the new file, just click on new file and just type string.py. That's the next thing we are looking at. Once you type it, you see that it's going to open up here for you. So I'm going to use So are we together? So we're looking at strings. We say that strings are iterables or collection of letters and numbers enclosed in single or double quotes. So this is an example of a string. So I can actually say name. My name is equal to Augustine. Because Augustine is inside a double quote, it is a string, and you can see it's actually collection of letters. So it can be single quote or double quote. So once you have collection of strings and numbers like this inside a single or double quote, call it string. Call it what? String. So these strings are called iterables because you can actually iterate across, loop through them because they actually have index, though you're not seeing them, but the index are there. And the index starts from 0. A is on the index of 0. U is on the index of 1. G is on the index of 2. You understand? So when we start giving string methods, you're going to find out that we can use those index to work on these strings. And that's what we're going to be doing in the evening section. When we join back again, we're going to be looking at string methods. If you want to capitalize this, how can you do it? So once you say name.upper, it can give you uppercase of Augustine. If you say name.lower, it can give you lowercase of Augustine. You understand? If you say name.capitalize, name is because name is the variable name. So if you say name.capitalize, it's going to capitalize the first letter. You understand? So those are the things we are going to be looking in the next session, which is the evening class. So I hope you enjoyed this. Like I said before, it's going to be a purely practical class. We are going to code from scratch, start Python from scratch, get to design and inventory. So I'm going to allow you time to all the things that I've done so far, so that when we reconvene again, you'll be able to ask questions. And why I'm leaving out this time is for people that are just starting, they might have problem installing their VS Code. On the description part of this video, I'm going to send you a video link where I've explained how you can install VS Code, how you can install Python, how to do get the extensions that you need for you to do well. And I'm also going to be taking questions. Please, you can call my phone number so that I can add you to the what's it called? Call my number or send me hi on WhatsApp so that I can add you to the WhatsApp group where you can get help whenever you need them. My phone number is simply +234 70 671 62698. So WhatsApp me immediately so that I can add you up, so that you can get every help you need, so that you can join up. So this time for question, and I'm going to be taking questions because I want to know what is happening, whether you're hearing me, whether you can hear me very well, whether you we are still having echo and the rest of them. So if you want to ask question, please unmute yourself and ask your question. I'm listening now. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, Remy, I can hear you.
Okay, please. I was having a challenge earlier, the audio issue. So I was able to resolve it now. So I don't actually know the time for the afternoon class.
Okay, the evening class is going to be from 4 to 5.
Okay.
Yeah, 4 to 5. And the PowerPoint that I use for you guys, I'm going to put that PowerPoint on the description part of this video. In case if you didn't join in time, this is the PowerPoint. It has explanation of everything that I've just done now, both from introduction to everything. So even the strings and the variables and everything, they are already there. So you're going to keep this PowerPoint as a reference. So in future, if you want to code Python or anytime you're working, you can always use them. But I'm not going to be using this PowerPoint to teach because I want us to be coding straight on VS Code, the actual thing. I want us to do the actual thing. So I'm going to be sharing this as well to you. So please take note of that. Check when you get to my YouTube channel, Tclassified.com, on the description part, you're going to be seeing the link to this PowerPoint so that you can download it. So as a recap of what we did, for those that just joined, or if you are just joining, we are looking at Beginner's Guide to Python. You can get all our classes, all our lectures on our website, www.jamboyecnecouni.com. You can email me at tclassified.com@gmail.com. This is actually T. Or you can call my number. you can just WhatsApp me so that I'll add you to the programming group. We have a special WhatsApp programming group that we update every time. So make sure you're there. It is very important. Then on the course outline, we are going to be looking at introduction to Python, variables and data structure, conditional statements, if, else, elif, the loops, the for loop, while loop, and all the rest of the introduction to basic data structures in Python. We're going to be looking at file inputs and output, file or importing models. We're going to be looking at classes and objects, which is object-oriented programming. And we're going to be looking at the tk-enter GUI. And at the end, we are going to be building an inventory with a database connected to it. This inventory, you should be able to walk to stores and supermarkets around you and tell them that instead of writing their daily sales in paper and books, that you can be able to automate it, make them to be doing it on the computer. That's the project, commercial project we are going to be doing at the end. We are also going to be looking at, if we have time, games and other high-level applications. So before I started, I introduced what programmers actually do. We say that programmers create solutions to world problems by creating softwares. Example of a problem is problem of connection. Facebook looked at it and they created Facebook. That's why people can connect and they can make a whole lot of money from Facebook. Google looked at search problem, searching for something. So they created the Google search engine. Your school has Google portal. So as a programmer, you should be able to create applications like this. To be able to create website, mobile applications, desktop application, portals, payment gateways like Flutterwave, embedded applications. And for you to become a programmer, you need to learn programming languages. And such programming languages are Java, PHP, Python, C, C++, C#, Dart, Rust. And for you to code, you need an editor such as Notepad or VS Code. Here we are using VS Code because VS Code is the standard, very, very easy to use. And the browser we are going to be using is Chrome. You can use any browser you want. You can use Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer. What are the prerequisites for this? For you to learn Python, you need to have known HTML and CSS. And if you get to my website, you will see a whole lecture on software engineering where I started with HTML and CSS. So check it out. Or even if you don't know that, Python is very easy for you to understand. You can also check out our YouTube channel, Tclassified.com. There you're going to see a whole lot of videos on any of these. And at the end of this 1 month program, this program is going to be ending on 28th. This first week, we are looking at Python. Next week, we look at website creation using WordPress, HTML. Then upper week, we look at Flutter. At the end, we are going to be employing a junior developer, and we are going to be giving the person basic salary of 100,000. If you're interested, after this training, apply. I'm going to conduct interview based on the stacks that I'm going to be teaching. It's not something that is very difficult. I'm going to interview you on Python, Flutter, and you need to learn Dart for you to do Flutter, which I'm going to be actually teaching you HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And I wish to pick the junior developer from this set of employees. All of you that are my audience, whether you're my audience on Facebook or you're among my audience in YouTube or Zoom, I'm going to pick this junior developer from there. And one good thing about this junior developer that we're going to be picking is that this junior developer can work remotely. If you know how to work remotely, even if you're in Lagos, you can be employed by us, because currently Tclassified as an educational technology and software development company, we are having we have plenty of people wanting us to do jobs for them. So the engineers that we have at the moment cannot be able to handle that. And that's why we want to train. We are training you with the technology that we're using in Tclassified.com so that we can easily employ you and you can easily work for us. So that's the whole essence of this training. We want to train you on the stacks, the technologies that we're using in Tclassified, so that you can be able to get employment. Even if we don't employ you, those stacks, you can use them elsewhere to help yourself moving forward. So we now looked at introduction to Python. Under invention, we said that Python was invented in the year 1991 by Guido van Rossum, and we said that Python is a high-level programming language whose syntaxes are very close to that of human beings, and that's why Python is very, very simple. Then we said that Python is a multi-purpose high-level interpreted language, unlike all the C that is basic lower level. Python is high level, and Python emphasizes on simplicity and readability. When you're coding Python, you will be talking about indentation, because one Python want it to be indented to be clear. Other languages, you'll be using a lot of brackets and colons. For Python, you don't need semicolon and brackets, because with indentation, the codes are very easy to understand. Python has extensive libraries, and these libraries are actually codes that people have already written and kept. So with this code, you can connect and do anything you want to do. You can do image manipulation, you can do data science and all. That's why Python is so good. People are learning it. If you go to universities now, if you are supposed to introduce you into programming with Java, now they introduce you into programming with Python, because Python is much more easier. Python is the go-to language for artificial intelligence and data science. That's the best language for that. And that is why it's good. If you're planning to spend much of your time in artificial intelligence and deep learning, my master's project, I worked on deep learning because I'm already used to Python. So you can check it out using deep learning to predict flow. So I've already published the book on my website and on YouTube. Check out that. Deep learning, that's the extreme end of machine learning. So if you're also interested in deep learning, we are going to be bringing lectures on deep learning for you, because we want you to master Python. Python, you can use it to do many things. You can use Python to develop web application. And for you to use Python to develop web application, you need to know how to use frameworks or libraries like Django and Flask. So we're going to be teaching you Django if you're in Tclassified learning software engineering. That's what we'll teach. Django, you learn how to build REST API and do your stuff. The notable websites that are done in Python includes Reddit and Instagram. So I'm just recapping what we've done so far, because when we started, the volume was not very good. Now, installing Python, how do you install Python? How can you install Python? Simply go to python.org. You see the latest Python there. I think it's 3.8.5. Install it. You can also install 3.7 if you want to be able to do Kiwi mobile application, which we'll be teaching later. Once you download, you can install. Please, when you are installing your Python, the dialog box that come out, please make sure you click on add to path. Very, very important. That's one of the problem people have when after installing. If you're trying to go to VS Code to run your code, it will not run. Now, once Python is installed, you can run and you can move forward. Please also install VS Code. That's the editor we are going to use. To do that, simply go to Visual Studio Code.com and navigate to downloads. If you're using 32-bit, install for the one for 32-bit. If you're using 64-bit, install the one for 64-bit. Run it and install the extensions needed. So once you're done with that, now we looked at variables and we looked at, we introduced strings. So those are the things we've been able to do. And to look at those variables and strings, I actually opened my VS Code, because we said that this is going to be a practical class. And these are the things we looked at in variables. We said that variables are placeholders for value. So this is a variable name, age. It's holding the value Augustine. I mean, name is holding the value Augustine. This other variable, age, is holding the value 35. This variable name, weight, is holding the value 95.5. These variable names, they are case sensitive. When you say age, it does not mean the same thing as capital letter H. Also, variables can start with letters and underscores. They can contain numbers, but they cannot start with numbers. Then the value of a variable determines the type. If the value is a collection of strings or is a collection of letters and numbers enclosed in a single or double quote, we say that the data type is string. If it is a whole number, they don't have quotes, call it int. It's actually a number data type, but specifically it is the int because it's integer. Then if the variable is having a decimal point, that variable is a float. If the answer or the value is true or false, let's say you want to ask, is Augustine here? True, if Austin is actually here, then that variable type, the data type is Boolean. Then if it is a collection of values, you understand? And that those collection of values is enclosed in a block bracket, we call it list. If it is in the normal bracket, we call it tuple. If it is in a curly bracket, we call it dictionary. Is that clear? So we're going to be looking at all these variable types in details, and we're going to be starting with strings. We are not looking at numbers because numbers are self-explanatory. 35 is for int, 95.5 is for float. So next class, we're going to be looking at strings and string methods. So I want you to understand that. Then I said, if you want something to come out in your terminal, you have to run the code. And to run the code, you simply say Python, the name of the file, we are running variable.py. So we say Python variable.py. Then we can see hello world. We are seeing hello world because we said print hello world. All these other codes that we wrote are not coming out because you didn't enclose them in print. Is that clear? Python actually saw all of them, but it did not output anything because you've not given the command print. And here that we say print age, we are not able to see 35. You understand? This shows you that Python actually saw this age that was here, but it did not bring it out until you say print it. Because if it didn't see this age here, it wouldn't have known that age is 35. Is that clear? So how does Python interpret our work? It works by reading line by line. So immediately you run variable.py, Python will look at this first. If it sees print, it will print it out. If it sees hash, you know that this is a what? This is a comment, so it will not work on it. If it sees this single quote in threes or double quote in threes, it will know that this is a multi-line comment. It will not also work on it. Or if it doesn't see anything in front, it knows it has to. So it actually read what name equal to Augustine is, but it didn't read this string because I started them with comment sign. It also read what age was, but it didn't read this int because it was started with comment sign. So now when you now ordered it to print age, that's why you're able to see age. So take note, for you to have your code run, you must say Python space, the name of that file.py. And from there, we moved on to string. And we say that strings are attributes or collection of letters and numbers enclosed in single or double bracket. Very important. Once it is enclosed in single or double, what's it called, quotes, then it is called string. So in the evening class, we're going to be looking at string methods. So please, if you have any other question, please unmute yourself and ask me a question so that we can sign off, go and eat, refresh, and get back for the main thing in the evening. Thank you. Any question? If you're not hearing me, if you can't hear me very well, if you're having any problem in following up, that's the kind of question you ask now. But the question you ask in the evening are actually code-related questions. If you're finding it difficult installing your VS Code or installing the extension, I have a lot of, before I sign off, please, once you're done installing your VS Code, please, I want you to install the following extensions that will help you. Number one is Prettier. Number two is bracket pair colorizer. Bracket pair colorizer. Number three is live server, in case if we want to do a little of web application in HTML, live server. Please get all these installed. How do you install them? I'm going to show you now. If you finish installing your VS Code and you open it like this, kindly go and click on this. This is extension. Click on it. You can see it here. Then type in any of these things. If you type live server, you will see it. So once you see it, you then click on it so you can see live server or any of these things I just said. You click install here. It will install. So do that. Okay, I'm going to show you what or how to do one other thing. If you want Bash to be your terminal, this is what you're going to do. If you want Bash to be your terminal, simply head over to your click on settings. You can see settings here. So you click on these settings, then click on this other settings. So once you click on these other settings, click on this place to get you to the JSON part of these settings. So once you're there, I want you to put in this code. If you open your own and you just finish doing your installation, you will not see all these things I'm seeing here. I'm seeing this because I've done a lot of programming with my work. So the only thing I want you to put there is this terminal integrated shell, blah, blah, blah. You see the way it is written here. Just copy it and put it inside your setting. Close your Visual Studio Code and open it again. You will now see that Bash will be your terminal. All of you are going to be seeing PowerShell if you're using Windows. But Bash is very good because we are going to be uploading our codes to GitHub. So that's why you must use Bash. So you see what I said, I clicked here. This is settings. Then I clicked on these settings again. Then it opened something here. Then I clicked here for JSON so that I can be able to paste this code. So this, I'm going to just copy it so that I will paste it on a place where you can see it clearer. So this is the code I'm talking about, this line of code. So this is what I said you should paste. So you can look at it. I just copied it and I went to my string and I'm gonna paste it here. But before I paste, I want to put a comment prefix so that you know that this is actually a comment. It's not supposed to be run. So this is what you're pasting. So take note of it. You can see terminal.integrated.share.windows. So paste it like that. There shouldn't be this comma. So once you paste it, save. Anything you do, please make sure you press Ctrl S to save. Then off your close your VS Code, open it back again. Then you should have Bash as your terminal. Please, if you have any question, ask me. Ask me if you have any question. So I'm gonna share my browser. I want to be on my browser so that I can show you where you can download how you can go about downloading your stuff. So if I just say python.org, you can see python.org. That is the website for Python. That's where you can get your Python from. Then I'm gonna go here. Okay, let me wait for it to open so that I can show you how you can download Python. It's very simple. Once it opens, you'll see the latest version of Python there. Just click on it and you will download it. Once it's done downloading, install it immediately. But while you're installing, make sure you click select the path. So you can see this is it here. So this is the Python website. So you can simply click on download. Then you see all the releases. So click on download. Then you see the Python that is there. This is the Python 3.8.5. Click on it. Once you click on it, it will download. After downloading, install it. Now, if you want to get VS Code, you can also go to your, just type, even if you search for VS Code on Google, it will lead you to their website. You can see code.vscode.com. So that's the editor we are using. So once you're there, you can easily download it and also install it. These two installations, they are very, very simple. If you don't know how to install programs, ask somebody. Installation is actually very, very simple. So we're going to be stopping here. I'm going to also allow you to ask questions. Any other person want to ask questions before we close? For our audience, digital audience, you can ask us questions. Just like I told you before, we have software developers in Tclassified.com following our classes here, and you can also join us. You can join us to know what we are doing. Yes, these are some of my engineers learning here. You can join up with us so that you can learn, become a software developer and do the right thing for yourself. You can also join us from anywhere. You mustn't be in Abuja. We are currently in Abuja, but you can join us from anywhere and learn. Just using Zoom like this, we can have you get the best knowledge that you want. So I'm going to be signing off in order to resume back again in the evening. Please leave your questions and comments. If you're following us on YouTube, if you're following me on Facebook Live, drop the comment there. I should be able to take your questions and can move forward. Yes, I will soon log off, but let me wait more in case any of you has any question to ask.
I have a question.
Please, I will give you an opportunity to ask question.
I have a question.
Yes, anybody with any question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Remy, please let me have your question.
Okay. My question is that if, like, we have several programming languages like C++, JavaScript, Python, then if like someone is interested in building another programming language, what programming language do we use to build another programming language?
Okay. If you want to totally build your own programming language.
Yes.
Okay. So actually, Python's high-level programming languages are actually done in lower-level languages like C. You understand? Then lower-level languages are actually done in machine-level languages. Can you understand? Do you understand now?
Yes, I'm getting it.
Yeah. So if you want to start working on your own language, then you must learn a very lower level language so that you can be able to build a higher level language or build a framework or build an application. So that's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further questions? Any further questions? So I'm going to sign off so that we can continue later. I'm going to sign off so that we can continue later. In the evening, please make sure that you come in time. Once it's 4 o'clock, we are going to start. Once it's 4 o'clock, we are going to start. So what do I do? Pause the share. Okay. I'm going to stop the share. And okay, I'm going to end the meeting. See you when I see you. Thank you. God bless you. Before I end up, I want you to know that if you are watching my video, you always see there's this write-up that is always on our videos from Tclassified.com. We say that everything you want is in Christ Jesus, and the surest way to be successful in whatever you're doing is to be a born again. So make sure you're born again. Very, very important. Here in Tclass, where we are born again, and that's why we are moving very fast. So if you want to move very fast, try that. Thank you. God bless.